There's a bunch of problems with the Division's endgame, from the way things are communicated to your gear and its levels, to the biggest problem of them all, the Dark Zone. It all needs some tinkering, so let's get stuck into the details. Here's what's wrong with the Division's endgame. First up, the Dark Zone. The first few hours you'll spend here are fantastically tense. The enemy AI is all high level and dangerous, the human players are all potential killers, and the waits for an extraction chopper are wonderfully anxious. But after a while you realise nobody's going rogue. Since launch, most of the players I've seen go rogue are those who've been tricked into it. Regularly, agents will move into the line of fire in an attempt to get hit, watch their victim go rogue and then kill them. Very few players are actually choosing to go rogue. The reason for this is that the rewards for going rogue are too slight and the penalties too great. Going rogue is effectively a death sentence. Kill an agent and everyone in the area just descends on you, and if you do somehow manage to stay alive, there's no guarantee that your victim's going to drop any good gear. Couple that with the XP, cash and key penalties and there's not really a reason to bother. Another problem with the Dark Zone, Phoenix credits or PC. This is the currency you use to purchase high-end weapons and blueprints. The aim of the endgame is to increase your stats, so you can take on challenging difficulty daily missions, hold your own in the Dark Zone, and prepare yourself for the raid-esque incursions coming next month. The gear purchased from Phoenix credits is a great way to do this. The only trouble is, Massive has nerfed the amount of PC that you can get from bosses in the Dark Zone. At launch you could get between 10 and 15 from each named boss. Since the game was patched you can now only get 1 to 5. When you consider that high-end weapon might cost you over 200 PC, that's not really enough to make an impact. You're far better off with the dailies. The problem with all of this is that the Dark Zone should be the place to play out the endgame. But the grind for Phoenix credits is very laborious, and the Dark Zone just isn't the endlessly entertaining PvE and PvP mashup that it could be. It's not even the Dark Zone we saw in the beta. It needs some work. There's other problems too, largely to do with the way weapon and item stats are communicated. You know those big numbers on the right of every weapon and gear piece? They don't communicate their level, they communicate the level you need to be to equip them. The item's actual level is buried at the bottom of all of the stats, underneath all of your mods and perks and all that stuff. It's almost hidden. The effectiveness of your weapons is poorly communicated too. When you compare weapons, it doesn't compare base stats, so if you're looking at a gun with a load of mods attached, it's going to look vastly superior to that new SMG you've picked up, despite the fact that it may be inferior. The focus on DPS, damage per second, is misleading too. It doesn't properly communicate the actual damage of your weapon. So the Division's endgame isn't perfect, but none of these issues are insurmountable, and Massive has already shown that it's capable of responding to issues quickly. The Midas SMG, for example, was horribly overpowered, and it was patched almost as soon as it was discovered. And the developers have already acknowledged that the Dark Zone doesn't make for a great PvP experience. It's going to get better. But for now, the Division's endgame is underwhelming, and while players like myself are looking for a new obsession, the game is making it quite difficult for us to stay invested.